Well, the weekend has come to a close, but we do not end things here. Now, we're going to be reviewing, of course, three events for today. The first one is, of course, Worlds Collide, which is the collaboration between both AAA and WWE. We do have, of course, a number one contendership match and two title matches and other special matches. Then we move on with Major League Wrestling, also known as MLW, with Fightland, of course. We feature also title matches and special matches as well. And then finally, Stardom continues with their latest tour, of course, with Kanazawa. And this one doesn't have anything special except for preliminary matches that will take place soon enough. So we'll get through A to Z on all of these events. And of course, to add this, there'll be no news updates for today. So let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world, pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we could either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, let's begin with Worlds Collide, the collaboration between AAA and WWE. Okay, Worlds Collide. This is their latest collaboration between AAA and WWE. Now, this recently happened this past Saturday in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, we have, of course, Penta making his presence known in the ring doing his promo. He was not wrestling, in case anybody asked. And, of course, he had to speak to his people in Spanish, which was, of course, appropriate since it is a collaboration. So that's what I'm going to say. Now, our first match, we had an 8-man tag team match. Team number 1, we have Laredo Kid, La Parca, Mascarita Sagrada, and Octagon Jr. They take on Mini Abismo Negro, Lisen Dorada, and the members of LWO, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wild. Now, you know there's going to be some spectacular moments with high-flying spots. You know, jumping off the ring, going over the ropes, that sort of thing. That's always been tell. And of course, you look at Mascarita Sagrada and Mini Abismo Negro, two of the many people within AAA showcasing their skills. And that's exactly what they were doing. But in the end, it was in fact, of course, Mascarita Dorada with the schoolboy on Mini Abismo Negro. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, we did see a interview by Vero Rodriguez, talking to Rey Mysterio about this latest show. However, Dominic shows up telling us that I'm going to be the first Mysterio double champion. And Rey's response, okay. And probably some of you may not know this. The reason he say okay was because for those who've been long time Rey Mysterio fans like myself, you know perfectly well Dom is not the first. His own dad is. He's a double champion. So that's the thing that Dom is probably may want to ignore, or he wants to believe that he's the actual true double champion. So I don't know. But yeah, that's what happened. But he did state it that if he wins, he wants them to put the belt around his waist. But you know, Rey is not going to be that type of person. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match is a #1 contendership for the AAA Reina de Reinas Championship. Now, for those who are new, will probably ask yourself, what the hell is Reina de Reinas? Which is the Queen of Queens, which is, of course, the Women's Championship. Now, of course, this is the first time. This is, of course, Natalia versus Fabi Apache. Now, these ladies have come across each other before in Mexico City, and now they're coming into this one to determine who will be facing off, of course, I believe, La Hydra, who is the current champion, or somewhere else. I don't know. Whoever's the current champion. I haven't been watching AAA that much at all. But anyway, of course, you probably can tell that some people probably would love to see Natalia. And that's the one thing. And then Fabi Apache, who's been well recognized, who's the second generation wrestler, who's done it all in AAA. You know she's determined to, of course, continue proving herself and everybody else. But unfortunately, things did not go according to plan for Fabi. She lost to Natalia by, of course, pinfall. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match is for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. The current champions, Pagano and Psycho Clown, they take on Grayson Waller and Kofi Kingston. Now, of course, you all know that this is something that this is something new, because, of course, with Grayson Waller and Kofi Kingston teaming up, this is, of course, a different type of team dynamic. But, of course, you would probably ask yourself, what's going to happen then? Well, you probably would assume because Xavier Woods was outside the ring would help. Well, it didn't do any favors, because it was, in fact, a Psycho Clown that took out Grayson Waller, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, that's when things took a drastic turn in the post-match. The Wyatt Six showed up out of nowhere, and most likely you can tell what they want, and you probably don't need to explain it. The action speaks louder than words, and they probably want the AAA World Tag Team belts, and that is something we could definitely see. Now, our next match we have is a mixed tag team match. We have, of course, Lola Vice teaming up with Mr. Iguana, taking on the Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez and Finn Balor. And of course, Raquel Rodriguez is in fact in tow watching this. Now, of course, the one thing you expect in the come is El Diemenito, which is, of course, the puppet of Finn Balor facing off against Iguana's little puppet herself. Forgot the name. And all hell was breaking loose over that. But, of course, it was a pretty good match. Not to mention Lola Vice took out Roxanne Perez with the back fist. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she won the match. Now, our next match, this is our next championship match. This is for the AAA Latin America Championship. We have Dragon Lee versus Ethan Page versus JD McDonough versus the current champion, Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Now, of course, you all know the rules in this type of match, where technically Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. does not need to be pinned or submitted. But anything could happen in any spectacular fashion, if you probably see it or not. But of course, this match nearly been won by Ethan Page until Hijo de Dr. Wagner decided to stop the countdown. But he took out JD McDonough with the Wagner driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. But however, a part of me, I looked at Ethan Page like he was not happy with the fact that he lost. Like, He's not going to let this go. He wants this belt because he wants to prove that he is the true epitome of what North American Championship should look like. So we'll see where that goes from there. But of course, Tiavian Heights was watching. Now, our main event is the AAA Mega Championship, which is the top title of AAA. Dominic Mysterio, who's been aiming for this belt, now gets his opportunity against Hijo de Vikingo one-on-one. Now, of course, you expect certain things that happen. Of course, the Judgment Day will love nothing more to take this belt and prove their dominance to the entire world, and that's exactly what they did. But luckily, Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio tried to stop it as well, and not to mention, El Grande Americano showed up out of nowhere, and then of course Dominic used the loaded mask onto Hijo de Vikingo, then the frog splash, and just like that, Dominic is the new AAA Mega Champion. And of course, that is something that people are going to question. Some people are worried that AAA may lose a lot of what they expect, because right now, one of their top belts is in the hands of someone else. So we'll see what happens from there. But until then, we'll stay close to what's going to happen to Dom. Now, as you all know, I don't watch WWE that much except for Evolve and NXT. So I'll stay close to this and see what it goes. But as of right now, let's move on to our next review, and that is, of course, MLW Fightland. Okay, MLW Fightland. This is their latest show, and this took place recently this past Saturday. Now, remember, we are continuing with matches involving the Opera Cup tournament, so it's not officially done, in case anybody asks where that's going to go. Now, we do have a non-title Opera Cup match. We have Esfinge taking on Ultimo Guerrero, who is the current MLW National Openweight Champion. So, of course, any chances if Esfinge win, most likely he could get a title shot. But however, he has to defeat him. And of course, you cannot deny that Ultimo Guerrero is a legend of what he does in the business. And he was able to defeat, of course, Esfinge by applying some sort of like a similar to a guillotine lock, but in reverse, and do a superplex type on top of the corner buckle, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he advances. So he moves on into the next phase. Now, our next Opera Cup match, well, this one is not a non-title match, in case anybody asks. We have Blue Panther Jr. taking on Zondaka Jr. I thought this match was very interesting because Zondaka Jr. really was throwing everything he had to put down, of course, Blue Panther Jr., because many of you know who he is. His dad is the man, the myth, the legend, Blue Panther. But, however, Zondaka Jr. was able to take down Blue Panther Jr. with a double thrust chop, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. However, it was later foretold, because he won this match, his next opponent in the Opera Cup tournament is none other than Titan, which I believe is going to be a very interesting match. Now, we did see a bit of a segment in the back. MJF, many of you who may not know this, MJF used to be part of the MLW roster before going full-time with AEW. So he surprised his old Dynasty friend, Alex Hammerstone. Now, you probably ask yourself, what the hell is he doing there? Well, Hammerstone was part of the Dynasty with MJF and Richard Holiday back in the day. However, MJF was trying to tell him, yo, bro, I watched you for 6 years. You have become such a pathetic whip. Where is the Alex Hammerstone that I remembered years ago? So he's trying to not piss him up, but try to make him remember who he was. Like the guy who, I didn't play games. I'm not here to please everyone, that sort of thing. And that's exactly because, of course, he needs them to be riled up a bit for his match, for his death match against Matthew Justice. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, our next match is for the MLW Women's Featherweight Championship, and this is a Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling Showdown. of course, the current champion, Shoko Nakajima, takes on Yuki Kamifuku. Now, of course, many of you may watch this because in many aspects, factors of this match, you look at Yuki Kamifuku, a very tall, beautiful Japanese girl, most likely can win because of her height. But you look at Shoko Nakajima, size is no factor for her. She can take down anybody who is big or taller than her. I mean, she has faced those type of individuals. And of course, you would have assumed. Now, there was a moment where, of course, Yuki tried to apply a large factor, tried to do a famouser onto her, but failed. But Nakajima applied multiple 619s onto her until she applied the Northern Lights suplex, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the championship. Now, the president of CML, Cesar Duran, along with his daughter, Selena De La Renta, were, of course, having a great time, and not to mention celebrating their friend El Gato, of course, bringing some tequila. Now, of course, the little get-together was interrupted by Ikuro Kwan. Many of you who know this, Ikuro Kwan months ago stole the MLW World Middleweight Championship and tried to declare himself that he's the champion. So he thinks that this whole thing with tequila and all that is a bunch of crap, because they think we don't need this crap and you guys are living some sort of fraudster way. But of course, El Gato, a guy who's been well known, is not taking this completely kindly. And of course, Caesar tells him, you'll deal with him, but not at this moment. So I wouldn't be surprised, because Cesar Duran does not like Contra Unit, because they're nothing but a problem. Now, our next match is the Texas Death Match between Alex Hammerstone and Matthew Justice. These guys have gone back and forth with each other for months. And this is where, of course, they have to go. Now, Alex Hammerstone said he wasn't going to play the death match role. Well, he did. And he did it well, and no matter what. And he was able to defeat Matthew Justice when he applied, of course, a Nightmare Pendulum by using some sort of strangulation onto him. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match is for the vacancy of the MLW World Middleweight Championship. Ikuro Kwan versus El Templario. Now, Templario has been aiming for this belt for a long time, ever since Mystico had to relinquish it due to an injury. Now, of course, Mystico, as you know, was the latest victim from Ikuro Kwan, who declared himself as the Luchador Hunter, who he hates luchadors wearing masks, because they think you're trying to hide yourself. Well, he doesn't consider Max Kruger hide himself, but it's who he is. But that's exactly what's going to do. But of course, you know, as members of as Ikuro Kwan, he will do whatever it takes to ensure the belt stays. Will go straight to, of course, Contra Unit. But he did call out for the Sentai Death Squad. But however, El Gato showed up and did take matters in his own hand. He even decapitated one of those jerk monkeys. And of course, Ikuro Kwan could not even believe that his plans didn't go according to plan, until, of course, Templado took him out with the back cracker, which is like a backstabber, but turn it into a power bomb. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new MLW World Middleweight Champion. So is the commentators like, thank God Contra does not have this belt. So that's the one thing that they not want. Now, our main event, this is for the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. Donovan Dijak versus Matt Riddle. Now, Dijak has been aiming for this belt for months, but he keeps getting into hurdles because someone else wants this belt. Now, before the bell even rung, apparently someone decided to jump in, and that person is, of course, the leader of Contra Unit, Mads Krul Kruger. And of course, Dijak tried to stop him, but backfired. So he cashed in his opportunity. Remember, he had a contract where he can initiate a shot of this belt, and it turned out to be a three-way, which was the last thing anybody wanted. I mean, Matt Riddle, Dijak's manager, Mr. St. Laurent, and of course Tom Lawler, who is Matt Riddle's tag partner and friend. They had to realize that Max Kruger will do whatever it takes to get this belt, and he's been trying to aim for it for a long time, and that's exactly what's happening. And of course, St. Laurent tried to get involved, but Matt Riddle took care of him. But unfortunately, Mats Kruger took out, of course, Dijak and Matt Riddle. But he pinned Riddle, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Brand new MLW World Heavyweight Champion. This is the second time in MLW's history that their entire world has come upside down thanks to country. The last time, it was, of course, Jacob Fatu who won this belt, and that was the biggest problem. Now it's a much. However, Donovan Dijakovic was not pleased with the fact that he felt that his time was stolen from him thanks to Kruger, and that's exactly. They even fought outside the ring. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell that Dijak will do whatever it takes to get another opportunity. But because he did not lose to Matt Riddle, it was Matt Riddle who lost to Kruger. So I'm sure that Saint Laurent is gonna find loopholes that indicates he does get another opportunity. But that's for another time. But as of right now, let's end things here with MLW and move on with Stardom. Okay, final review. Stardom in Kanazawa. This is their much latest show that just came out. Now, we opened up with God's Eye, consistent of Tomoka Inaba, Lady C, Ami Suri, and Saki Kashima taking on Cosmic Angels, Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori, Sayuri Anu, and Natsupoi. Now, of course, this is the second match for them in this entire weekend. Last time they did not came out on top on this one, but you probably asked they'll get their footing in because things are going a little bit sideways since, of course, without Tam Nakano. But however, they're trying to find their footing, and of course, you have to watch out for someone like Kashima, who is a bit sneaky to try to pull a high speed on someone, but it didn't do any well. But unfortunately, this match ended with a Blue Thunder Bomb on Aya Sakura by Amisuri, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, God's Eye picked up the win. Our next match, we have Emma Maishima taking on Natsuko Tora. Now, of course, Natsuko Tora being the leader of Hate, you all know what her game is, that she would do whatever it takes to dismantle their opponents, either in the ring or outside the ring, and that's exactly what she was doing. However, she was able to defeat her because, as you all know, Emma Maishima has the least experience in the ring. She defeated her with the Death Valley Bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Next match, we have a three-way match. We have Azusa Inaba versus Yuria him versus Koguma. Now, many of you might ask, where the hell is Azuki? Well, Azuki, as you know, was participating in an event with Oz Academy, so that's why she wasn't there. But of course, the one thing you don't want to is get caught in the bear dance. I'm talking about Koguma. You all know how she did. And of course, Yuria was involved in that. But of course, Inaba's like, screw that. I'm not doing that crap. And that's exactly what happened. But of course, you got to remember, when it comes to Koguma, you know she always finds ways to ensure she gets her match. That's why they dubbed her as the high-speed genius. And she did that by applying the Kuma roll onto Yuria. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match, you can consider this part of the preliminary match. We have EXV, consistent of Rian, Hanako, and Waka Tsukiyama, taking on the other members of God's Eye, Koyoka, Kotatsu, Rana Yagami, and Hina. Now, of course, many of you know this. I mentioned this. Hanako has issued a challenge for the future belt that Hina has currently in her possession. So you can tell that who is going to try to build up the momentum for their upcoming match, and that's exactly what this was about. Of course, you look at Hanako, who has grown significantly, learning a lot of things. I mean, she has her size in her corner, but not to mention the submission technique that she learned from Shinsuke Nakamura has been played out. But however, Hina, who has a bit more experience than her, was able to pick up the win when she applied, of course, a jackhammer onto Rian, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, during the post-match, of course, Hina took the mic and said some words to Hanako. Of course, you all know that Hina is not determined to lose to someone to Hanako. As you know, she is trying to live up to the past, to surpass, of course, both her sisters, Hanan and Rina. And that's one of the things that she cannot afford to lose. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Neo Genesis, consistent of Miya Amasaki, Azumi, and Starlight Kid. They face Kikyo Furuzawa, and she teams up with the members of Mi Vida Loca, Akira Kurigani, and Bozilla. Now, of course, factors you can tell on this. Now, if you look at Neo Genesis, they are a very cohesion unit. You know their strengths and their weaknesses, and they are willing to work together very well. But you look at Mi Vida Loca teaming up with Furuzawa, who is currently not affiliated with any faction. You can tell that she is the only one in the match who has the least experience, which plays out a pretty significant role in this one. And of course, the bigger threat is Bozilla being strong, powerful. No one can take her down. But however, it was in fact Azumi that made the finishing touches when she took down Furuzawa Kurigani with, of course, the double foot stomp, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, which is our main event, once again, Hate versus Stars. Representing Stars, we have B. Priestley, Momokoko, Saya Ida, and Hanan taking on Hate members Momo Watanabe, Rina Konami, and Saya Kamitani. Now, nothing special about this, except, of course, as you know, we do Rina and Konami, along with what's her name, with Fukigen Death. They are the current artist champions, and of course, Star members Hanan, Saida, and Momokoko issued the challenge for those belts. So you can call this a preliminary match. So you probably can tell who's going to build up the momentum. And I feel now that Stars are right now are getting themselves back on track now that they added 2 new members, Yoda Him and B. Priestley. Now, of course, Yoda Him lost her match recently, and the day before, of course, Stars picked up a pretty good win against Cosmic Angels the day before, and that kind of sets it out. But however, how is that going to be any different now? And of course, you all know Hate will do whatever it takes to win by applying their dirty tactics onto Stars, but that didn't do any well because it was Hanan who picked up the win once again by pinning her sister Rina, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. I'm sure right now Rina is very frustrated that she got pinned by her own sister, because Rina has been determined to say, I am going to surpass my sister, and that's exactly what she's been doing. And I feel deep down Hanan should be making a play for the white belt, which is something that we all know she has longed for, and I'm sure we'll see that soon enough. And I wouldn't be surprised if she won that belt by the end of this year. But if that happens, I can't wait to see it. But of course, as always, in the post-match, Stars closed down the show, and just like that, it was completely over. So I think we're pretty much done with all of our reviews and everything else. And also, I did mention we do not have any news updates, so I can say we can relax. But as of right now, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I haven't decided yet, but I am considering, as you all know, Mighty Gold are currently finishing up with their latest, with the Dreamstar Grand Prix. So I'm trying to make that as a priority to catch up with everything with that as soon as possible. So we'll see what happens. So cross our fingers. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.